Morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Anju, you can start your camera.
Start my video, did you say?
Yes, please. I'll just give it a few seconds. Okay. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Bhavani Shankaraya Namaha. Om Shri Matre Namaha. Good morning and namaste, everyone. I know everybody wants to think like Einstein. It is at this age with so many distractions, it's very difficult. So we always need some brain boosters to increase our brain power. Faster learning, better memory, sharper thinking, out of the box problem solving, more efficiency, and enhanced creativity are just a few of the benefits of boosting your brain power. It's time to get into the habit of thinking like a genius and increasing our brain power. Increasing our brain power is easier than we think. So here today, we have our own Anjani Nileshwar Upponi, who's my cousin, daughter of Dr. Rajamam, who probably all of you are familiar with, the famous dentist from Mumbai, and her mother, whom we all know as Amma, Vasanti Pachi, who's also watching today. So we welcome you, Anjani. Anjani Nileshwar Upponi has a degree in nutrition and dietetics from Dietetics Nirmala Niketan College of Home Science in Mumbai. Trained as a dietitian at York Hospital, PA in 1987, and trained at UPMC Hammott Medical Center, who became a certified diabetes educator at University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Most of her career she has spent in hospitals conducting inpatient and outpatient consultations. Last 8 years, she is the manager of health and wellness departments at compounding pharmacies. Gained experience with nutraceuticals, pharmacy grade vitamins and supplements. Current role, she is the care manager, diabetes education at Access Point Health, a Hinduja Global Solutions company. She provides consultations for children and adults living with diabetes using a whole person care model, an approach that identifies and addresses root causes of non-compliance and unhealthy behavior. On another note, Anju and Ram Nileshwar will be presenting the next seminar on audiology. So Anju and Ram's grandfather, Sakaram Nileshwar Mam, was awarded the Rao Sahib honor by the then British rule. He had gone on agency duty as a doctor during World War I and World War II. And so the Nileshwar clan is very proud of him. And the doctor tradition continues. Over to you, Anju.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for taking, and good evening to our friends and relatives in India. And it's wonderful to see you all. Mahesh, you'll have to help me. I unmuted and started my video. I can't see my presentation. So
I will share it now.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes, thank you. So, on a Sunday morning or a Sunday evening, I'm sure that everybody has so many things they could be doing, but I really, really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. And I think, Mahesh, that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. I'm very proud to be a Nileshwar and, of course, very proud to be an Upponi. And I dedicate this information sharing session to my parents because I think that's where the passion in me for eating healthy, making sure I'm taking care of my health really started. So my mom, subscribed to health magazines way back in the early 60s and always made sure that we ate healthy. And my parents have not just lectured us about it, but they've really put it into practice. And I've always been surrounded by healthy habits. My cousins, my uncles, my sister-in-law have focused on eating healthy, and so that's just been a part and parcel. And of course, I have to mention Ashwin, my husband, who is definitely focused on health. Now that's a lifelong journey, okay, and it's not something that can happen overnight. It has to be, and the reason I went back to my parents and my childhood and surrounded by my relatives and friends that are healthy, it's something that we should be practicing every day. And it's not easy. And it's not easy in this distracted world, in a world where there is so much misinformation, so much information that's conflicting. Something that's healthy for you today is not healthy for you tomorrow. And so just learning about it, making sure you are keeping updated on the correct information from the right sources, that's very important. So when Mahesh and I were talking about this session, sharing this session, I really was thinking about what can I talk about that will make sense, that will, again, going back to the brain, and something that you all can take away, a message that you can take away today. And so a topic that's on folks' mind these days is brain health, whether it is prevention of Alzheimer's disease or so many other brain fog, if you will. And so that's the reason why I came up with this topic. And of course, to share with you the connection between a healthy gut and a healthy brain. So I've kept this presentation to roughly 20 minutes. This is a very, very comprehensive topic. It's really difficult to put put it succinctly or put it into a compact presentation. However, at the end of the slides, I've shared an email. I will be more than happy to help you. Reach out to me. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you. So with that, let's have the next slide, Mahesh.
Hold on, I'm trying.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to you today about two key concepts. First of all, what the gut-brain axis means. And second, how can we achieve a healthy gut? What our objective, our goal is to make it a hospitable environment for friendly bacteria. And so that's my goal today. So let's look at what the gut-brain axis is. So it's a physical connection. Physically, the brain and the gut is connected by millions of nerves, and chemically connected through hormones, enzymes, neurotransmitters, and which are chemical messengers essentially. So the physical and chemical connection between the brain and the gut is the gut-brain axis. Now, perhaps in the last decade and a half, there's been more research, there's been more focus on this gut-brain axis and how we can nurture it and how we can learn more about it. And hopefully, what I share today will make sense, and you can have some good takeaway points. So, when we're talking about the gut, we're essentially referring to our gastro, which is stomach, and intestinal, which is the small and large intestine. So the gastrointestinal system is our gut. And sounds easier than it is, but research is showing, ongoing research is showing that changing the types of bacteria, the good bacteria, the friendly bacteria that live in our gut, it may be possible to improve our brain health or health of our vital organs and just general health and well-being. Now, I'm going to talk in general today about probiotics and prebiotics. I'm sure there's so many of you in the audience today that already know about probiotics. You know about prebiotics. Perhaps you're taking these. I just want to simplify it. I just want to bring the 101 of this topic to you. And I want to show you the connection between inflammation, which is the root cause of ill health of most disease these days. So what is the connection between inflammation, the gut, and brain health? So that's my goal today. So with that, I'll take the next slide. So when I put this slide together, I thought of so many different times, like right now, I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm kind of nervous. And how many times have you said it perhaps? I have butterflies in my stomach, or I was so afraid it made me sick to my stomach. Or, oh my gosh, I have to run to the bathroom. I'm so nervous. I'm going to take an exam. So when you think about it, that's where the gut-brain connection comes in. Anytime we're under stress, if we're nervous, if we're afraid, if we are sick, if we are just even thinking about things that make us afraid or scared, or think about a time when we've been in a dangerous situation, one of the first things we feel is nervousness in the stomach. That's that gut-brain connection. That's what makes that, the information superhighway, so to speak, makes us aware of that. So think about that as I give this presentation. Next slide, please, Mahesh. Not sure what I did here, but okay, that's me and my skills of trying to animate the PowerPoint. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the gut-brain axis. I told you earlier that it was a two-way information superhighway between the brain and the gut. Physically, remember I said that it was millions and millions of nerves connecting the gut and the brain. And when you look down, when you drill down to the core of it, really it's the nerve cells. Each cell is communicating with the other cell in our brain and our nerves by the help of neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters transmit or exchange information between each other. That's what makes us think. That's what makes us laugh. That's what makes us smile, digest food. And so we need these neurotransmitters. They're very, very essential. And our gut makes these neurotransmitters for us. So what do they do? In short, neurotransmitters again signal the brain. When we're talking about the gut-brain axis, the neurotransmitters are signaling the brain when we're eating to give us a signal that that's enough, satiety or feeling of fullness. Of course, we ignore it many times. I know I do. or control hunger, control energy levels, control the way the body stores fat, etc., etc. That's the role of neurotransmitters. Now, at this stage, it's really, really important to talk about the peacekeeper, the mediator or the liaison, so to speak, between this gut-brain axis, or something that is so important. In the last maybe couple of decades, there's been more research on this, the microbiome. So the microbiome, if you look on the internet, you'll find a definition of it. But essentially, it's some people, some researchers even consider this an organ itself. And so essentially, it is just a colony. It is a family of trillions and trillions of microorganisms that live in our body. When we are born, when we go through the birth canal, and sometimes even research has shown that in the womb, the baby is exposed to, and the microorganisms, these friendly bacteria, are growing in the baby's gut. And so these trillions of microorganisms not just live in our gut, but they live in the mouth, the skin, the urinary tract, and every single part of our body. And they have a role, they have an important role in these different organs or different parts of our body. So the microbiome essentially is a colony of good and bad bacteria, fungi, viruses. There's staph viruses that live in our skin. If we get a cut on the skin, if we don't take care of it, it's going to become an infection because they're natural to the body. And here's what's interesting, that the microbiome is unique to each person. We might generally have the same family of bacteria, fungi, viruses, but the way we eat, the way we digest the food, what we eat, how we eat, and genetics, genes, there's definitely a strong correlation between my microbiome, my environment in my GI system, and yours. Okay, so that's a little bit about gut-brain axis and the peacekeeper or the microbiome. Next slide, please. So I thought I'll talk a little bit about probiotics and how probiotics help. Again, that's my attempt at animation. I think the rest of it will be here shortly. There we go. So probiotics, or friendly bacteria, live cultures, how do they help us? Well, primarily they help us digest food, and the food which is composed of carbohydrates, protein, fat, fiber, and yes, the spices we may add, and different things that we may add to the food. So their role is to digest food. Probiotics also are the army. It's the army that helps fight an infection, fight a cold, help us to recover from a cold, help us to heal from an infection, etc. So that's the army that we need to build and nurture. Again, probiotics help us, believe it or not, to make very important vitamins in the body. Vitamin D and vitamin K. Vitamin D and K are both related to bone health, and vitamin K particularly to the clotting of blood. And one of the other things that probiotics do is they make enzymes. And what are enzymes? Enzymes essentially are tiny little knives that break down food. So we need enzymes to digest carbs, we need enzymes to digest protein, fat, and fiber. And so these digestive enzymes are made by probiotics. And most importantly, the context for today's talk is they make neurotransmitters, or these chemical messengers. So that's the role, just simply put, of what probiotics do for us. Next slide, please. So, um, so what's our job really? What is our objective when we put food in our mouth? And what can we do? Your takeaway message for today. First and foremost, I'm a huge proponent of very simple home cooked meals. You don't need to buy to go out to the fancy grocery stores and buy all organic, buy local. That's most important. Buy ingredients and cook with ingredients that are available locally. If it's grown in your garden, nothing like it. If it's grown in the area where you live in, that's even better. But simple is the key, and home cooked, because you know what you're putting into it. You are selecting the ingredients, and you are deciding what goes into it. Now, not all of us are able to cook all the time. We may not have a skill. It's a dying skill, by the way, cooking. But even if you were to do like a semi homemade, that would be even better. So that's the key. That's the foundation. Diversity in your food, diverse selection of legumes, lentils, vegetables, fruit, nuts, and beans. When I talk about a variety of fruits and vegetables, I always ask people to think about the rainbow. Eat your rainbow. Eat yellow, orange, purple vegetables and fruits, berries, nuts, and so on. So eat your rainbow. That's the key. Diversity is important. Healthy fat is important as well. Coconut oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, and absolutely yes, butter. And I didn't mention the product of butter, which is ghee. That's also very important. Small portions, but very important to have healthy fat, because fat is one of those ingredients that the probiotics need to thrive. Whole grain foods, foods where the grain is kept as intact as possible. Remember, there's a difference between whole grain and whole wheat products, because many times in whole wheat products, color may be added to make the bread brown. So make sure that when you read the list of ingredients, that it should be whole grain foods as much as possible. If you can make your own tortillas, rotis at home, that would be even better. Plant-based meals. Whenever you open a health magazine, or whenever you look at some things related, some articles related to health, these days people are talking about more plant-based. So when you serve yourself, when you prepare your meal and you serve your plate of food, more than half the plate should be covered with veggies, vegetables, lightly cooked, not cooked to death, not heavily spiced, as light as possible. Legumes, beans, lentils. And then if you are a non-vegetarian, of course, adding lean meat, fish, poultry in small portions is important. Polyphenols. What are these? These basically are ingredients found in green tea, dark chocolate, yum, red wine, even better, olive oil, and whole grains. And so these polyphenols, they promote the healthy gut bacteria. So it's not just us. The bacteria also love the dark chocolate and red wine. And so that really brings us to what prebiotics are. Prebiotics basically feed probiotics. Best to get it from our food. Apples. Think about fruit with skin on. The skin on the fruit provides the fiber in the diet. Bananas. Leafy greens, spinach, Swiss chard, kale, collard greens, and a zillion of other greens that are available on the market. And of course, garlic and onions, just to name a few prebiotics that feed the probiotics. Um, Antibiotic therapy, that is something that really sterilizes the gut, that destroys the microbiome. We need it. Antibiotics are essential. We have to have them sometimes. But oftentimes they are overused, or even misused a lot of times. If it's a viral infection, a lot of people will say, oh, just give me an antibiotic, I'll feel better. Doesn't help the virus, but overuse and improper use of antibiotics. So if you start the antibiotic therapy, it's important to continue it so that you're not leaving it halfway. But what antibiotics do is they kill the bad bacteria and they kill the good guys as well. Okay, so refeeding and reseeding is important when you take an antibiotic. I'll take a minute here. I know it's not in my slide, but whenever you take an antibiotic, it's a good idea to take a probiotic as well, during the antibiotic. That's what I feel. Now, other people may have a different opinion about it, but you have to make sure that when you have to have at least a 4-hour gap between the time you take the antibiotic and the probiotic. Because if you take them together, the antibiotic gets, kills the probiotic. Now, once the antibiotic course is over, definitely be sure you take that probiotic because reseeding is very, very important. Avoid spicy food. Oh my gosh, that's horrible to even hear. I love spicy food, okay? But spicy food doesn't mean that you have to put so many spices in there that the taste buds are going, oh my gosh, wait a minute, don't do that to me. So it doesn't have to be that spicy. You can add flavor. But the thing with spicy food, it makes it acidic. And the probiotics don't like an acidic environment. So it's not good for the bacteria, the good bacteria. Artificial sweeteners, it's so important to keep in mind that artificial sweeteners, fine, they have their place. I think a lot of us, I used to have Splenda for the longest time, but I found that repeated use of Splenda for me anyway caused a lot of gas and bloating. So when I read about it, artificial sweeteners typically ferment. When these gut bacteria consume the artificial sweeteners, they actually ferment in our intestine. They cause gas and bloating. So whenever possible, definitely try to use natural sugar. Jaggery, raw sugar is okay. White sugar avoidable, but definitely try to limit the use of artificial sweeteners. And highly processed food that is so processed where the fiber's taken out, we're cooking it to death. That's not good for the gut bacteria. Okay, next slide, please. So, should we take probiotics as supplements? Perhaps. Are they essential? Yes, perhaps they are. It all depends really on whether you have trouble with gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or maybe there are people that vacillate between diarrhea and constipation. So that's your gut talking to you and telling you that I need help. I need a supplement of the probiotic via a capsule and things like that. And then if I have time, I think we're going on 9:30 here almost, I can talk a little bit more about probiotic supplements. But if you've recently been on antibiotics, or if you've got continued gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or even acid reflux, something that I live with, I think it's important to take probiotic supplements because again, we need to reseed the gut. And when you take the probiotic, it's a good idea to take it around a meal. When I say around a meal, I mean either before, during, or after. Now, there's different, the jury is still out on that. Some people might say you have to take a probiotic on an empty stomach. Some people will say, oh, no, 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 take it at night, take it in the morning. My bottom line when people come to me for advice is take it around a meal, but be consistent with it. Try to take it for. So I'll give you, if you don't mind, Amma, I'll give you as an example and myself as an example. We both have gluten intolerance and indigestion. So initially, say for a few months, we took the probiotics on a regular basis, and then maybe cut back to a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, because sometimes when you take too many probiotics, you have the opposite problem. They go in and they multiply in large amounts, especially in our small intestine. Gets me on a completely different topic. May not have time to elaborate, but overuse of probiotics, that's not good either. Okay, so what's the bottom line? Moderation. Okay, next slide, please. So now let's look at the connection between a healthy gut, inflammation, and healthy brain. So Hippocrates, he's a father of modern medicine. The mother is Mother Nature, but the father of modern medicine 2 millennia ago talked about inflammation that basically was arising from an unhealthy gut. Inflammation, he said, was the root cause of all disease. Take a sip of water here. So basically, Hippocrates was talking about dysbiosis or dysbacteriosis, essentially fancy words for saying disruption of gut bacteria. So either remember the antibiotics that sterilize the gut, or years and years and years of eating a poor diet at the wrong time, too close to bedtime, not enough variety, not enough fiber in the diet. Or some people, unfortunately, don't have a weakened immune system, so they're frequently ill, have frequent infections, and therefore frequent antibiotic therapy. So many causes for dysbacteriosis or dysbiosis. And then Hippocrates and everyone else, all the researchers that followed, really talked about how a healthy gut environment, having a very good microbiome helps to control weight. Believe it or not, there are probiotics out there that are people are doing research on, that if you increase those in the gut, it helps with weight loss actually, and helps to control weight, helps to gain weight if some people need to do that. Blood sugar helps to control blood sugar, helps to control diabetes, joint pain, and of course helps to control acid reflux. Folks, if you've ever woken up in the morning and you feel achy and you feel like you have a cotton mouth, or if you feel creaky and your joints are creaking and you're hurting, those are all signs of inflammation. I see a raised hand. I'll get to that question here in a second. But that's joint pain, and that's related to inflammation. That may be my last slide. I can't remember. Yeah, it is. So I hope I have tried to talk about the two key concepts. I just wanted to summarize. One, the gut-brain axis, what it is. It is basically the information superhighway, the connection between our brain and the gut. And then probiotics and the microbiome, and how we can nurture it by very simple homemade meals with a variety of meals. So thank you so much for patiently listening. I can sit here and talk all day about this, but if you keep that last slide on, that's my email. Please reach out to me. I would love to help you if you have specific questions, if you want me to elaborate on something, if you want me to help you with some, anything. That's my passion. So it is basically otcsupplements1@gmail.com. So there was a raised hand, Mahesh. If you will help me out with that. But before you do that, excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting. I really want to thank you so much, Mahesh, because not only are you bringing music into people's lives, you are encouraging all of us with good health. And so thank you so much for that. I'm so proud to be your cousin. After all, a Nileshwar, right?
Yes. Thank you.
So there was a raised hand.
Yeah, I will come to it. I will just offer my thanks. And there are a few questions also. So I will just,
okay.
Eating, the focus is not there nowadays, right? Before, we all used to sit at a table or on the floor as a family, and we would focus on eating. So overeating, I mean, it was part of your habit, but your parents would taunt you saying, "It'll kaunaka, don't eat so much, don't eat that too much, or pickle too much," or something like that. But nowadays, because we are all macro families, we are all eating at our desks, eating in our office, watching TV. So if you're watching some serial and there's some fight going on, you tend to eat more. and then you don't chew because you're watching and just gulping the food. So these are some of the things I think we have forgotten our basics of eating, basically, right? And at times, at our home, weekly once we need to have dali toy just to calm our stomach. So it's simple, just boil the lentil, no spices or anything like that, simple stuff. And this part of the world, I think UTI is a very big problem. And as you rightly said, that antibiotic, the nearest medication, or the most common medication that's given to UTI is an antibiotic. And now I always used to think of probiotic. Now I know anti and pro are opposite. So anti is bad, pro is good. So let's think that way. And I just wanted to ask you, in probiotics, they have these 5 billion cells in the capsule, or 5 million cells in the capsule or in the supplement. What does it mean? And what is the minimum?
Good question. So really, there is no such thing as a minimum. I think the billions with a B and the millions with an M oftentimes are marketing gimmicks, I think. I think if someone has had recent antibiotic therapy, if the gut is sterilized, if there's a lot of gas and bloating, about two, if I was to be pinned down for an answer, I would say a couple between 2 and 4 million with an M is probably a good place to start. Now, that being said, everybody is different. So I've had a lot of people come in, start the prebiotic, probiotic. They start on a probiotic, and now here they are a couple of days later with diarrhea. So your body is telling you, wait a minute, I don't need that much. So what can you do? You can take it every other day. So really, there is no prescribed minimum, so to speak. Even if you take a probiotic several times a week, that's good enough. Someone had a question about.
Yeah, there are two questions. One from Pooja. Pooja, can you give some examples of probiotics?
Examples of probiotics are anything. That's a very good question, and I'm sorry I didn't. I think I meant to put it in my PowerPoint and forgot about it. But thanks for bringing that up. So probiotics that we can eat without spending a lot of money on supplements are anything with live cultures in it, buttermilk, yogurt, or kefir. Greek yogurt has probably even 5 cultures available in some parts of the world. Those are examples. Any food that is fermented but cooked, like idli or dosa, something like that. They might have a little bit. I think again the jury is out on that a little bit, whether it's whether it has live cultures or not. But mostly foods like yogurt or buttermilk that are live cultures are good examples of, or kimchi. Some people have kombucha. All of these are beverages that will have natural probiotics in them.
One more question from Avanti. Can you comment on apple cider vinegar benefits?
Sure. So there are countless benefits of apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar primarily helps to create a more alkaline environment in the gut, so that it makes it a more hospitable environment for these bacteria. It helps to reduce inflammation. It helps with acid reflux even, because think about it, whenever we have acid reflux, there's too much acid in the stomach. One of the first things we tend to do is drink milk. Okay, feels good, cold milk especially, because that's sort of the age-old remedy. But when you ingest milk, it actually turns the gut acidic. So it's having the opposite reaction. Whereas something like apple cider vinegar helps to, of course, there's countless benefits of apple cider vinegar, but basically to control inflammation and, to create a hospitable environment for the probiotic. That's in short.
And there is a question from Sita Pachi, relation of gut health to diabetes and Alzheimer's.
Okay, so essentially goes back to, can you repeat the first part of the question? I got excited when I heard the word diabetes.
Relation of gut health to diabetes and Alzheimer's.
Okay, so gut health again goes back to inflammation. When inflammation, when there's uncontrolled inflammation in the gut, it basically is, in short, not allowing the food to be digested properly, to where it affects the way the blood sugar is processed. It affects the hormone insulin and the way insulin is going to uh, process the sugar. I can elaborate more if you contact me on email. I can talk to you a little bit more in detail about it. But root cause is inflammation. The inflammation basically doesn't allow the insulin to do its job, the insulin which we make in our pancreas, doesn't allow food to be digested properly, and that therefore, not may not necessarily cause diabetes, but definitely will have an effect on our blood sugars, an effect on blood sugar control. So I hope that helps. There was a question from Suresh Mam earlier.
Yeah. 1 second. I'll finish all these. Then I can let Suresh Mam and Nandu Mam ask their own questions. What are the large food group combination that should be avoided to promote a healthy gut? This question is from Swati Pachi.
Um, Large food groups, anything that's highly processed, anything that you can get from a drive-through, avoid it. Anything that is fried uh, all the time, I mean, avoid eating this all the time. More steaming, stir frying, cooking lightly. Those are the foods that you should have. Avoid. See, anytime so let's think about I'll give you an example of a potato. So if you take a potato and you're going to skin it, cut it, cook it to where it's almost soft and mashed, that's a highly processed food that doesn't have fiber in it. And so highly processed foods essentially go into our gut and they just hang out there. Okay, like white bread is a very good example. So that white bread essentially hangs out there because the body says, this is easy, I can digest it. But because the body or the gut is not challenged by the fiber, by the variety of protein, things like that. Oh, the combination. I think Swati wants to know. Yeah, I'm going on and on and on. That's what I do when I talk about food. Combinations. So let's go back to the Dalit oil. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm sorry if there's non-Konkani folks on here, but rice and dal or rice and lentils. Now, that's a good combination primarily because in a vegetarian diet, the rice doesn't have all the protein, all the amino acids in the protein, which is complemented by the dal. In a meal which has brown rice preferably or red rice with dal, and maybe green leafy vegetables in form of a salad or a spinach salad, something like that. That's a good combination. So when you look at your plate and when you see a lot of color on it, the yellow from the lentils, the green and the red from the vegetables, the brown from the brown rice or the red rice, that's important. So I hope that answers at least in part the question.
I just wanted to add, I think you were trying to say that we should avoid deep fried food other than talal papudu, burje. All these are excluded, right? Those
Yes,
we
yes,
can
absolutely.
eat.
It's Sunday, so all those are excluded.
What is the main difference between pre and probiotics, and should both be added to diet at the same time, daily or 2 to 3 times a week? Swati Nagarkattepachi.
Excellent question. So prebiotics are found in fiber in our food, any skin of fruits and vegetables and so on, which feed the probiotic or the good bacteria. They love it. They actually are very happy when they receive a lot of fruit, a lot of fiber. They're hardworking little organisms, these probiotics. Okay. When you give them potatoes or white bread, they don't like it. But whenever you give them the prebiotic in the form of fiber, that's what's going to help the probiotic or the good bacteria. And yes, preferably eaten together. So when you take a probiotic supplement and you take it with food, that's even better.
Thank you. The next question is from Shivdas Pai Mom. Besides probiotics, what food would you suggest for stomach heavy or bloating, even after eating a little quantity?
Okay, so that actually, and I'll be happy to answer, via email, because that really is goes back to the root cause of what you may be eating that's causing the gas and bloating, or uh, one of the things that I mentioned earlier was if you take too much probiotics or too many probiotics, they go in and hang out and multiply in large amounts in the small intestine. So there's a condition, the acronym is SIBO, SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Again, remember that word dysbiosis that I used? Dysbacteriosis. There's not enough bacteria, there's not enough uh, uh, good bacteria that's helping with digestion. So it's difficult to answer that question in short, but please reach out to me and I'll be happy to explain in greater detail, and maybe even happy to analyze what you're eating, and we can drill down to it if you like.
Nandini Pachi wants your email again, but
Sure. It's on that last slide.
and this recording will be available. So I can also send out the email later, Nandini Pachi. Swati Putli Pachi has a follow-up question. I meant a combination of foods. Example, is yogurt and spinach combo healthy?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Whenever you can combine a probiotic, a natural probiotic in our food like yogurt or lassi, or the all famous konkani tak, and you eat it with a salad, or you eat it with your dal and rice, that's important. So yes, and even if you are not able to drink the tak or eat the yogurt during the meal, even eating it close enough as a snack a couple of hours later, that's also something that you can do.
One more question from Nandini Pachi. You mentioned red rice. Does it have traces of arsenic? Someone told me.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a whole other discussion. Um, Rice, has minute amounts of arsenic in it. Of course, we would have all been gone a long, long time ago if we had arsenic poisoning, because uh, Lord knows I love rice. But the best way to get rid of the arsenic is to wash it as many times as possible. Soaking and getting rid of the water, that also helps tremendously. That here's the key, okay? There's good and bad in everything that we eat. There's pesticides in vegetables. There is antibiotics in the chicken we eat or the fish we eat, and then wherever we buy it from, there's how it's handled that can affect it. So if we sit and talk about it, there's bad in everything. So the best thing we can do is, and that's why I go back to the foundation, which is home cooked. And the reason I say that is because you have control on the ingredients you're buying, you have control on how you're preparing it, and you have control on how you're going to serve it. Okay. um, and when I say serve, I really want to quickly mention, so the acronym LOL, which is laugh out loud. But I think here in the United States, we can use the acronym LOL, is land of leftovers. So, I mean, I thrive on leftovers. I cook on Sunday, and we eat through it for the rest of the week. Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. Uh, the point and the reason I brought that up is because a lot of people don't like to eat food that is prepared in the morning, and they don't like to eat it in the evening. I don't belong to that family at all. Um, I think the bottom line is to eat as fresh as possible. Okay, so if you make a vegetable, now that being said, if you open my fridge, I'm sure you'll find things that I made 2 or 3 days ago. Um, and I'm not definitely not saying it should be wasted, but the thing is, eat as fresh as possible. Eat yeah, someone just said eat in moderation. I completely agree. That is the key. Oh, how to get rid of heavy metals from the gut. Oh my gosh. I think in short answer would be lots and lots of fiber. Make sure that your gut is functioning properly to where you're evacuating the bowels um, well every day. Eliminating the bowels is most important. One of my dearest cousins, Shantam, and I, we like to talk about, I won't say the word, it's polite company, but we like to talk about things that go down the toilet a lot. And I never thought I would be one of those people that would be obsessed with bowel movements. But my goodness, people, that is so important. I cannot even tell you how important it is to evacuate our bowels properly. Water, water, water. Drink lots and lots and lots and lots of water. That's important to get rid of the toxins.
And I think to add to what you just said, it's not just bowel movements. I think even your pee indicates how acidic and how alkaline your body
Sure,
is. So,
sure.
so rather than going and getting a kit of acidic alkaline kit from the shoppers or from the pharmacy, if you look at the color of your pee, it will clearly indicate to you what your stomach is going through. So
Yes,
the darker it is, you
not
have,
enough water.
yeah, not
Yeah.
enough water, or things are
You
not
know,
going.
since we're talking about waste products, uh, uh, not to be gross or anything like that, but um, if you look at a piece of stool, bear with me. There's a point to this. If you look at a piece of stool, okay, and it's hard, that means you haven't had enough water in it. More than 3/4 of the stool is composed of water and fiber, and the rest of it is digested bacteria. Remember, these bacteria that are growing and multiplying, the dead bacteria or the good bacteria, they also need to be eliminated. So it's very important to pay attention to what we're putting in our mouth, and it's very important to
What's
listen to
coming
the
out?
gut. If the gut is telling us something, if there's gas, bloating, acid reflux, absolutely start listening to it, because that is the root cause of all illness. I
And
firmly believe.
and I don't think we are going to support this message from Pooja Gwalia Pachi. She says, so now no Dalitoi song and sheath. So
Absolutely
that is
not.
not an
Don't say
amchi.
that. That's
You're,
illegal.
yeah. And
You
next
cannot
question.
do that to me.
Yeah. The next question from Murali Saletor mom is cheese good for the gut?
Yes, in small amounts, absolutely. A lot of people can't tolerate the lactose in it. So, about the size of your thumb is about an ounce of cheese. So, if you eat, about an ounce of cheese, definitely that's perfectly fine. There was a question on should I eliminate oil completely? No, please don't. You don't. You have to have essential oils. Oils are essential to transport vitamins A, D, E, and K, and also the fat deposits around our organs. That's important. That's essential.
Swati Pachi,
Importance of vitamin intake.
go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry,
No, there's a
multivitamin daily. Yes. important to take a multivitamin every day, because we cannot get all the nutrients from food. So absolutely, yes.
I've read roasting raw rice reduces its starch content and beneficial for diabetes. Is that true? Swati Putli Pachi.
I don't know about, I'll have to look into that a little bit about the roasting of the rice. But I know that if you make rice the way you make pasta, where you drain out the water, that eliminates a lot of the starch.
Okay, Mridula Kalambi Pachi has a question. How to get rid of heavy metals, arsenic from the gut?
Right, right. I had read that earlier, but just to sort of reiterate, making sure that you're eating a lot of fiber in the diet and having regular bowel movements to eliminate those toxins, that's important.
Okay. And I lost weight after I started vegan diet. How to maintain weight and continue with vegan diet?
Oh, that actually gets into a longer discussion. I will love to help you on via email. But essentially, if you're doing something that is working for you, continue it. If you need me to help you on specific meal planning, definitely I can help you with that. Do nuts have any effect on gut health? Absolutely. If there is one better than the other, um, all nuts are good. Perhaps peanuts has the most beneficial oils in them. Uh, Pistachios, cashew nuts, almonds, walnuts, a variety of nuts, definitely important.
Hey,
But
Nandu.
yeah, they do, because they
Sorry,
provide fiber. Sorry.
Yeah, Nandu, can you unmute yourself? Yeah, you can ask.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Anjani, excellent presentation and very good explanations for all the questions.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you, is there a particular timing for taking apple cider vinegar? We take raw and unfiltered organic apple cider vinegar. Should it be taken just before meals, or first thing in the morning, or last thing before going to bed? You know, there are various recommendations that I've seen, and not
Yes.
clear about what would be the best
Yes.
time to take those.
Preferably on a more empty stomach, the better, because it gets to the gut uh, and gets to where it needs to go. So the emptier the stomach, the better. If it's generally for acid reflux, I would recommend it or suggest it, I should say, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. If it's more for inflammation, overall health, then time of day doesn't really matter, but definitely on an emptier stomach, the better. I hope that helps.
Okay.
Just wanted to ask from
Can
Lata
I just?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Can I just follow up with another question on the variety of cultures in yogurt, in choosing yogurt, and also is yogurt recommended with every meal?
I don't know about the need for yogurt at every meal, but yes, if you eat Greek yogurt, there's 5 cultures in the Greek yogurt, mainly primarily lactobacillus. I don't know if you need to eat it at every meal. There's no harm, obviously, unless you cannot digest it, unless you cannot digest the lactose and you get gas and bloating. So I don't know if there's any rule as such, but more cultures in the yogurt, the better off you are. There's also avoid yogurt as far as possible. Avoid yogurt with a lot of added sugar in it, because sugar is something that the probiotics don't like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There was a question from Lata Pachi asking importance of vitamins intake daily. Sorry.
Absolutely, yes. I'm a huge proponent of multivitamins. Most important, yes, definitely, Nandini Pachi, contact me. I would love that. Multivitamins as a supplement are most important. Email me. I'll give you some recommendations on the type. There's wonderful vitamins available even in India. But because when we eat food, when we wash fruit, when we cook it, we lose the nutrients. It's important to have multivitamins.
Okay, I think we have answered everybody's questions. Now I'm going to stop recording and let you all unmute yourselves. And thank you, Anjani Pachi, again for a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation.
My pleasure. It's been so much fun.
Next session will be from your brother, Ram Mam, on audiology
Yes.
and hearing aids and stuff like that.
He's
Thank you
awesome,
so
by
much.
the way.
Thank you so much.